Welcome to K21Academy, where our cloud expert will be discussing serverless and dedicated SQL pools. He will discuss the mysterious and functionality of both serverless and dedicated SQL pools. He will tell what these terms mean, how they differ, and how they impact both performance and cost. Whether you are managing a few data warehouse or scaling up to handle intensive data workloads, understanding these nuances between serverless and dedicated SQL pools can save your time and money. So let's jump right in and explore these critical aspects, helping you to make the best decision for your data management needs. Also, don't miss the end for a special free class. Let's get started.
In manage, you can see that there is SQL pool and I can see a built-in SQL pool. And what do I mean by built-in SQL pool? It is nothing but your serverless SQL pool. Look at the type here, built-in SQL pool. The type says serverless, right? So my serverless SQL pool is available. And if I create a new pool, it becomes a dedicated SQL pool. Right? So by default, you get your serverless SQL pool, and whenever you create a new one, that becomes your dedicated SQL pool. Right? So I can create my dedicated SQL pool from here, manage, go to SQL pool, and create a dedicated SQL pool from here. That is possible. Or I can go to monitor SQL pool. Okay, here it's allowing me only to monitor the resources. I cannot really create one, right? Or inside my workspace, look at this. This is a previous tab. This is my Synapse workspace. I can create a new dedicated SQL pool from here, right? Now let me create a new dedicated SQL pool. And then I'm going to show you the difference between the serverless SQL pool, here the one which is named as built-in, which is already created for you, and your dedicated SQL pool, right? So for creating a dedicated SQL pool, I will click on new dedicated SQL pool. I'm going to name this as, let's say, my sample SQL. Okay, this is the name of my dedicated SQL pool. Now look at the performance level. Did we have any opportunity to understand about the performance level of your serverless SQL pool? No. Serverless SQL pool was created just like that. I have no idea about the performance, but here you have complete control over it, right? You can select from the bare minimum of 100 DW, data warehouse units, to a maximum of 30,000 data warehouse units, which is very, very expensive. See, as I increase the performance level, look at my cost, right? I'm going to keep it to bare minimum. And even if I'm keeping it to bare minimum, that is 100 data warehouse units, look at the cost, around 120 INR. And this is per hour. Very, very important. In serverless SQL pool, remember the cost? It was dependent upon per terabyte of data that you process. That's the huge difference. So even if I'm not going to use this, even if I'm just going to create it and it's going to sit like that without me actually using the dedicated SQL pool, I will still be charged. But your serverless SQL pool, it has been so long that I created it already, but I haven't really been charged anything because I did not use it at all, right? I gave you the example of electricity for serverless SQL pool. You have the connection. Until and unless you use any gadget that is consuming the electricity, you will not be charged, right? That's how it works. But your dedicated SQL pool, it's not like that. You will have to use the dedicated SQL pool in order to go, irrespective of whether you use it or not, you will be charged, right? So let's consume like you, if I had to give an example for this, let's take an example of your Wi-Fi. You take a prepaid Wi-Fi connection. Per month, you are going to get so much of free data download and you pay some amount at the starting itself. Whether you use it or not is not their concern. They are going to charge you either ways, right? So that is the difference. Okay. You definitely have an option to pause your SQL pool. Okay. So when you're going to pause your SQL pool, it will not charge you. Only when it is turned on, it will charge you. So you do have an option to turn it off or to pause it. Okay. You can change your DW value after creating it or the data warehouse unit value after creating it. However, during that time, there will be a downtime for your dedicated SQL pool. Serverless SQL pool is always going to be there. Dedicated SQL pool is created in addition to your serverless SQL. Now, after that, it's your choice. Whether you want to use, you're dealing with critical data, you will choose to select serverless, dedicated SQL. You're dealing with data that is, generic, and it's okay to have a little slowdown in terms of the processing speed, you will select serverless SQL. Okay. So this is my dedicated SQL pool. I'm just going to go ahead and review and create this. All right, my deployment is in progress. Let's see. Until my dedicated SQL pool is going to be created, let us now discuss about now that we have seen how serverless SQL pool is automatically created and how to create a new dedicated SQL pool. Let's discuss about certain major factors which will allow you to differentiate or to take a decision which one should you use, which SQL pool should you be using. Okay, so I will just add some rows to talk about serverless SQL pool dedicated. The first question that you have to ask yourself is about the infrastructure. See, which out of these two do you think will give you complete control over the infrastructure? When I say infrastructure, it is the servers, the performance, the storage, the networking, the scaling up, scaling down. Which of the two of them, serverless and dedicated, gives you 100% control over the infrastructure? Definitely, it is the dedicated SQL pool, right? So when you are in a scenario, when you are in a business requirement that you have to have complete control, so that you can scale it up, scale it down whenever you want to. You can go ahead and increase the speed, decrease the speed of the performance whenever you want to. If that is the requirements that you currently are in, then you will blindly go with dedicated SQL pool. Okay, so here you have complete control on the infrastructure. On the other hand, here the infrastructure management is totally hidden or maybe abstracted. You have no idea, how many servers are involved, how does it scale up, how does it scale down. You have no idea about it. So the entire infrastructure management is totally abstracted. How about the scalability? So when it comes to scalability in terms of serverless, it does it on demand. So when it comes to scalability in terms of serverless SQL pool, you are going to be, you will not be aware when it is scaling up, when it is scaling down, but it definitely scales up and scales down depending upon the traffic of your data, depending upon the volume of your data. It does auto scale, but you have no idea about it. Okay, so it's, or I'll say scalability is on demand basis. You have no control over it. Okay, on demand basis without, I will say, manual intervention. However, when it comes to dedicated SQL pool, here you have a fixed amount of servers that you are going to go ahead and deploy. So whether you want to add more servers, whether you want to remove the existing servers, everything, you want to increase the data warehouse unit, decrease it, everything is possible, but you have to manually do this. If you go ahead with opting for more servers, but you're not really using all the servers, you will still be charged, right? So you have to be very, very alert with respect to the configuration, because you have complete control over it as well as complete responsibility as well. And when you're making changes in the middle, there is going to be a downtime associated with your resource. Okay, so here scaling up or scaling down is a manual effort. And this manual effort, although it's a manual effort, it also includes downtime. Also includes downtime. So you should be ready to compromise with that. Okay. The next factor is about the cost. So here we, saw which one is more expensive and why. So when it comes to your serverless SQL pool, you know that you will be charged only on the basis of how much you're going to utilize it, right? So you're going to be charged only on the usage metrics. What was it that we saw? Per terabyte, right? So per terabyte, how much your cost is going to be fixed on per terabyte of data that you're going to process. On the other hand, when it comes to dedicated SQL pool, here it is not dependent on per data. Here it's dependent on per hour. Whether you're going to use it or not, you are going to pay for this. So here you're going to be charged on the status of the dedicated SQL pool. And what was the unit that we saw here? It was based on per hour basis. Okay. The next factor is about the flexibility and the control. We put it as flexibility. Now, see, in spite of all of this, which one do you think is more flexible? Gives you, okay, we already discussed about the control, and I think flexibility would come in that aspect only. So when I talk about flexibility, it is going to allow you to go ahead and make changes to that particular infrastructure, the management, etc. at any point of time. So let's keep flexibility. The last time is the performance. Now, which one is more reliable? So it is definitely going to be your dedicated SQL. You're paying additional to this. You're paying extra for the service. You're customizing it based on your requirements. So the performance for this can be counted on, right? So it is reliable. But serverless SQL pool is coming from your shared resources. You have absolutely no idea whether the resources are available at the point of time that you are asking for the resources. If resources are available, it will give you immediately. If it is not available, you might have to wait, because ultimately serverless SQL pool is all shared resources, right? So with respect to performance, this is not reliable.
Hey there, if you're enjoying this video and would like to go deeper and become an expert and master on data engineering on Microsoft Azure Cloud in order to get a high paying job, then I would like to invite you for a free class that I'm doing, where I'm bringing a Microsoft certified trainer and a data expert. We'll be talking everything about Microsoft Azure Cloud, how to learn in this in depth, including everything related to both certification as well as in order to get a high paying job. We'll be talking about 12-week roadmap and all the hands-on labs you should be performing. So if you're interested, check out on K21Academy.com/Azure Data 02.